Fernando Alonso and Honda's Formula One partnership that began as a disaster found redemption through another team and now threatens to repeat history in the most brutal way possible. These are two Formula One giants whose relationship has become a cautionary tale of missed opportunities, broken promises, and the cruel reality of time running out. In 2015, Fernando Alonso, the two-time world champion, returns to McLaren with dreams of recapturing glory. Honda, the legendary engine manufacturer that powered Ayrton Senna to 3 world championships in the late 80s and early 90s, is making their comeback to Formula One after a 7-year absence. On paper, it should have been perfect. In reality, it became one of the most catastrophic partnerships in modern F1 history. The numbers from that first season tell a horrifying story. McLaren-Honda managed just 425 laps during 8 days of pre-season testing. Compare that to Mercedes, who completed over 1,000 laps in the same period. When the season began, Alonso and teammate Jenson Button were regularly failing to escape Q1, averaging almost 2.7 seconds off the qualifying pace. The team that once dominated Formula One had sunk to 9th place in the Constructors' Championship, ahead only of the tiny Manor team, but it was at the 2015 Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka where the partnership reached its lowest point. As Alonso struggled with a car that could barely compete, his frustration boiled over in a moment that would define their relationship forever. When Marcus Ericsson's Sauber easily overtook him, Alonso's voice crackled over the radio with words that would echo through F1 history. "It feels like GP2. Embarrassing." 4 laps later, as Max Verstappen sailed past with equal ease, Alonso's fury reached its peak. Those 23 words weren't just a radio message, they were a public execution of Honda's reputation, broadcast live to millions of viewers worldwide. Ron Dennis, McLaren's boss at the time, called Alonso's outburst unprofessional, but the Spaniard later defended himself, saying, "If a top driver today goes through the performance that I went through, I can't imagine what they would say. In 2015, I was always fighting to get out of Q1 and had 575 places of penalties. The technical reality was even worse than the public humiliation. At Spa-Francorchamps, Button and Alonso could only use their electrical boost on one of the 2 straights, and even then, not on every lap. There were entire sections where they were running 200 horsepower down on their rivals. By 2017, Alonso was recording top speeds of just 285 kilometers per hour. That's 14 kilometers per hour slower than Lewis Hamilton. "I've never raced with less power in my life." Alonso fumed. 3 years of this torture was enough. At the end of 2017, McLaren and Honda parted ways, their relationship in tatters. Alonso hadn't scored a single podium in those 3 seasons. Honda, battered and bruised, found sanctuary with Toro Rosso in 2018 before moving to Red Bull in 2019. What happened next would prove that the engine wasn't the problem, the marriage was. Under Adrian Newey's technical brilliance at Red Bull, Honda transformed from laughingstock to championship winner in just 2 years. The breakthrough came at the 2019 Austrian Grand Prix, where Honda claimed their first victory in the turbo-hybrid era with Max Verstappen. Max would claim his first world title at the dramatic 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix with Honda power, breaking Mercedes' stranglehold on the turbo-hybrid era. The Dutch driver would go on to win 4 consecutive championships from 2021 to 2024, with Honda engines providing the power for 71 Formula One victories across Red Bull and their sister team. The redemption was complete, but it came with a bitter irony for Alonso. While he struggled through the midfield with other teams, watching his former engine supplier dominate the sport, Honda proved they could build championship-winning power units when paired with the right chassis and team. The problem hadn't been the engine alone. It was the toxic combination of unrealistic expectations, technical incompatibility, and a relationship that had soured beyond repair. Which brings us to 2026, and a twist that seems almost too cruel to be real. After Honda's partnership with Red Bull ended, they needed a new home for the incoming regulation changes. Enter Aston Martin, Lawrence Stroll's ambitious project that had lured Fernando Alonso with promises of championship contention. The 44-year-old Spaniard, now in what's likely his final chapter, signed on for another Honda reunion with their new RA626H power unit. The parallels to 2015 are so stark, they feel like a nightmare repeating itself. Just as McLaren had switched from Mercedes to Honda power, Aston Martin made the same transition. Just as in 2015, new technical regulations promised a reset that could shuffle the competitive order. And just as 11 years earlier, the pre-season testing told a story of disaster. During the 2026 pre-season, Aston Martin managed a pathetic 334 laps, dead last among all 11 teams. Their fastest lap was 4 seconds off the pace, with GPS data revealing that the Honda engine accounted for 37.5% of their deficit. The car suffered 3 breakdowns during testing, and Honda had to use up most of their spare parts just to get through the Bahrain test, leaving them woefully unprepared for the season opener. Lance Stroll offered a brutally honest assessment, suggesting the team was 4.5 seconds off the pace. Fernando Alonso, the man who once called Honda's engine embarrassing, found himself in the exact same position he'd been in over a decade earlier, stuck in an uncompetitive car, watching younger drivers in faster machinery disappear into the distance. The technical problems eerily mirror 2015. Vibrations in the Honda engine are damaging the battery system, just as electrical issues plagued the McLaren partnership. The team is struggling with fundamental reliability, just as they did in that disastrous first season together. Even the gap to the leaders, around 4 seconds, is remarkably similar to the 2.7-second deficit from 2015. But there's one crucial difference this time. Adrian Newey, the aerodynamic genius who helped Honda find its way at Red Bull, joined Aston Martin in September 2024, taking over as team principal. If anyone can unlock Honda's potential, it's the man who already did it once before. Newey understands Honda's strengths and weaknesses better than almost anyone in the paddock. Yet time is the enemy Alonso can't defeat. At 44 years old, he doesn't have the luxury of waiting for Honda to get it right again. His last race victory came at the 2013 Spanish Grand Prix, nearly 13 years ago. Every day that passes is another day closer to the end of his career, another opportunity slipping away to claim that elusive third world championship. The psychological dimension adds another layer of complexity. The cultural wounds from Alonso's 2015 outburst may never fully heal in Japan, where Honda's Formula One operations are centered at their Sakura facility. Ralf Schumacher observed that you don't forget harsh criticism, especially in Japan. It leaves a mark. This cultural tension could undermine their technical partnership regardless of what happens on track. Jolyon Palmer captured the cruel irony perfectly. It's shades of his McLaren-Honda stint right now, isn't it? Unfortunately, you have to draw the comparison. A decade after their acrimonious divorce, Alonso and Honda find themselves trapped in the same dysfunctional relationship, hoping against hope that this time will be different. As Aston Martin heads to Australia for the season opener, they face the very real prospect of battling for last place with the new Cadillac F1 team. It's a devastating fall from grace for a partnership that was supposed to herald a glorious new era. Instead, it looks like the Honda curse has claimed Fernando Alonso once again, proving that, in Formula One, some wounds never truly heal. They just wait for the perfect moment to reopen. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments, do you think Alonso and Honda will pull themselves out of this hole before it's too late?